One Piece is one of the biggest franchises to come out of Japan, with over 100 volumes of the manga and over 1,000 episodes of the anime. Like many people, I was not familiar with it until the live-action version came out on Netflix in 2023. I will link to my review so you can see what I thought of it back then, but I think I enjoyed it. Since then, I have started watching the anime, and I'm about 220 episodes in. So now I'm well ahead of the live action, and I can compare the two versions. This season begins with Log Town, which feels like a mistranslation. It should really be called Rogue Town, if you ask me. It's a beautiful set, like an Italian city, and it gives all the regular characters something to do. So it's a good way to remind the audience who everybody is and what they're after, which is necessary after 3 years. Particularly well done is the scene where Zoro gets his new swords, which feels straight out of the anime. And new characters like Smoker and Tashiki are introduced perfectly. Smoker could easily become a caricature, but Callum Kerr plays it just broadly enough so it doesn't go completely over the top. And Julia Raywald as Tashiki is adorably nerdy, and it's great that they get their own subplot over the course of the series. There are some interesting additions. Flashback strongly suggests that Goldie Roger is Luffy's father, which makes sense but feels like maybe it should have been revealed later on. And Baroque works are introduced early, with their very distinctive looks coming straight from the original. One of the first scenes has Miss All Sunday brutally slaughtering an entire marine base with her bare hands. So it'll be interesting to see how they square that with the character's later development. Reverse Mountain is next, beginning with a thrilling action scene which shows the whole crew working together. They do feel like much more of a proper team in this version. I was not expecting the whale Laboon to make it to live action, so that was a pleasant surprise. They did get rid of the part where Crocus was living in a little house inside the whale, but maybe that was just a bit too silly. And Luffy sinks to the whale instead of fighting it, which feels like a big improvement. Whiskey Peak is next, another impressive set that's like a western town, with a big 3-story saloon. This is Zoro's big episode. We see he has visions of Mihawk taunting him for his lack of ability, before he takes down 100 Baroque Works agents in a massive fight that lasts most of the episode. It's probably the best action scene of the whole series. Little Garden is another completely different environment, this time a prehistoric jungle. It's another showcase for the visual effects, with Luffy riding dinosaurs, 2 giants fighting, and a whole gang of Baroque Works agents with their own distinctive powers. David Dastalmachian as Mr. 3 is the standout performance. He's just wonderfully sinister as this amoral sculptor who wants to turn everybody into works of art. Usopp gets a big emotional arc here, as the giants show him what true bravery is like, as opposed to the fake bravery that he usually puts on. Finally, there's Drum Kingdom, another very distinctive setting, this time a winter wonderland. The ascent up the mountain took several episodes in the anime, and felt like a real struggle. Here it feels much more condensed, and there are no killer rabbits for Luffy and Sanji to fight, unfortunately. Chopper's introduction is also much more simplified, but his backstory does get an entire episode to play out. Mark Haralick as Dr. Hiruluk might have been cast just because of his name, but he does give a memorable performance, not just because of his wig. You can really believe his character's bond with Chopper, and his final speech is a bittersweet triumph. Sanji gets his turn in the spotlight here, nursing Nami back to health and dropping his own tragic backstory. I don't know if that's new or taken from later in the story, but it does help to flesh him out. The villain of this arc is Waypol, played with a childish glee by Rob Coletti. As we've come to expect, his ridiculous design is translated perfectly into live action, although the details of the final battle are somewhat different. Here, Luffy and Vivi take down Waypol in one room, while Sanji and Chopper face his sidekicks in another room. It feels a bit small scale for the season finale, but luckily we also have Zoro and Usopp outside in a big village set, facing the bizarre mutant soldiers, which look like CGI, but are actually practical. So those scenes do give it a much needed sense of scale. It does give the whole crew a chance to contribute to the final victory, and by the end they feel like a tight unit of 7. The characters themselves feel a lot more three-dimensional than they do in the anime. There, Luffy mainly feels like a greedy idiot, but here Iñaki Godoy plays him as fiercely loyal to his friends, and you can definitely see why they would follow him to the ends of the earth. In the original, Sanji is obsessed with every woman he meets. Here, Taz Skylar plays him as suave and charming. Usopp was originally a total coward, but Jacob Gibson plays him as someone who's at least trying to be brave. In the original, Nami is cold and mercenary, obsessed with treasure above everything else, whereas here, Emily Rhodes plays her as warm and caring. It all helps them to feel like a much more rounded team. The new characters are also well cast. Charitha Chandran as Vivi. There's a difficult role going from assassin to princess to Straw Hat. In the original, it felt like Vivi went from being a ruthless killer to a helpless princess, but here she feels like much more the same character throughout. And Lyra above her is not perfect as Miss All Sunday. She looks like she's just stepped out of the anime, and she's as cool and enigmatic as you would expect the character to be at this stage. Finally, there's Chopper, who is a wonderful creation. He's probably the most cartoony character so far, but in this version he's a lot more fleshed out, while still looking really cute. His larger form still looks a little odd. I'm not sure they've got the proportions right on that one. Next season is going to be the Alabasta arc, which was one of the best parts of the anime, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure where they'll take it afterwards. The next big arc is Skypiea, but that's kind of standalone, so I suspect they might just skip that one and jump ahead to an arc I haven't got to yet. They will probably have to do that anyway at some point, as there's still 1,000 anime episodes left to adapt, and each live action episode only covers 5 or 6 at most. So they will have to skip some things if they don't want the series to go on for 20 seasons. Still, the cast and crew are knocking it out of the park. This version has all the fun characters and wild ideas of the anime, while giving it an extra layer of depth. So I'm sure whatever they do next will be well worth waiting for. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with one review of Season 3 whenever it comes out, and I'll keep on watching the anime, so maybe I'll do a review of that when I get to episode 500 or something. So press subscribe if you like the sound of that, and I'll see you next time.